when you start thinking of your past as snapshots versus rolling movies, then it's going to be very uncomfortably comfortable on this healing journey, right? Because you're going to be uncomfortable, but you'll appreciate the journey a little bit more when you realize that your past, those memories that you have, are snapshots. So snapshots, think of the picture. Think of a picture. See this picture here? So this picture is capturing a moment in time. That's all it is. You just captured a moment in time. Each memory that you have, think of them as little snapshots, right? Some we want to keep, and some we're like, why can't I get rid of this, right? But a lot of that goes into the obsessions of trying to figure out why did this happen, or glorifying what could have happened. Oh, if this person wouldn't have done this, we would be happy. If this would have happened and I didn't go through this nightmare as a child, I would have blank. None of which you know to be factual, right? But what happens is you're not sitting and going, okay, look at this snapshot. Wow, that was a really tough time in my life. I didn't like it. I felt isolated. I felt abandoned. This is a snapshot. What happens sometimes, though, is you take those feelings and that situation and you just sort of carry it along in your life, right? So there's almost like this frozen piece in time where you're carrying it along, and it's like frozen piece in time, but it's still there, right? So when you can accept that that has gone, it has happened, it is not coming back. That specific situation and experience will never return. So number one, what you have to remember is each one of your memories are mere snapshots. And the most interesting thing about that really is that we all have different versions of our snapshots, right? And we could grow up the exact same way. If you and I are twins, okay, we grew up in the exact same house, and you think life was great. You were like, oh my God, we had the best childhood. And I think, what? Like, I grew up in the same house with you. No, we didn't. Perception. So each individual snapshot. So this is where when people try to have debates, they can't see past their snapshot, right? Core beliefs, experiences, perspective, little teeny tiny snapshots. So when you allow those things to sort of go by the wayside, then you're able to process a lot faster. It can be a lifelong process, but you can get through each one of these things a lot faster. But you have to allow yourself to do that, right? And sometimes you get so caught up in these snapshots, like these are your memories. And since you've carried them through your life so frequently, they've now become a part of your identity. It's not part of your identity. What you experienced is not your identity, right? All of the nightmare that you went through, not your identity. That was an experience. But when you take the experiences and you bring them into your life and you try to understand them and you try to make it make sense and still kind of hope to achieve acceptance from these individual snapshots, that's where you run into a brick wall. So if you feel like, man, I'm getting stuck and I can't move, it's because you're getting stuck on a snapshot or an idea of a snapshot. So you have this picture here, this picture here. Neither one of them are here. And that's why staying mindful is going to be your best friend. But a lot of people have a hard time staying mindful because you think that when you're mindful, you're just going to hit it out the park and you're not going to think about anything. No, thoughts are going to come and go. But they could be regular thoughts. They can be intrusive thoughts. Intrusive thoughts are just thoughts. Neither one of them are facts. Your happy thoughts, your negative thoughts, your anything thoughts, none of them are facts. They're mere thoughts, right? But I want you to really think about it. So let's do this like exercise together. Think of a time that just was not a super happy time for you. Just wasn't a great time. I know you don't want to, but if you don't think about it, you don't get through it, you won't get through it. Okay, so just think about an uncomfortable time. Doesn't have to be super bad. And I want you to think of it as that you're taking a camera and you're taking a picture of it. Snap, snap. That moment is frozen. Okay, snap, snap, it's recorded. I want you to understand that that's that moment. So you can look at it. You can say, how did I feel during this moment? What did I want to feel during this moment? And let me see it. So it's giving attention to a lot of things that you try to avoid. It's giving attention to it, but it's not carrying it with us. It's sitting here and it's going, okay, well, this was this moment in time. Now you might have 8 other moments and times like that. But as you get clearer in each situation, so let's say you had the best day on the planet yesterday. That's great. I hope you took pictures and you captured that. But it's unrealistic to think that you're going to carry that level of bliss throughout life every day. And so when you capture it, instead of going, oh man, I wish I could have that again. Why are we doing that? Because you're still staying in the past. So you take a snapshot of that and you say, oh my God, how did this feel? Right? So you take a negative and you add a positive. There's always a positive somewhere. You could have got Doritos on sale 2 for $5. You could be like, I love those Doritos. Well, that could literally be a happy moment. Snapshot that in time. When you start looking at your life as little snapshots, you're not bringing things or anticipating things because they're little teeny tiny snapshots. So when you go through this exercise, you're able to give attention to it, but you're able to move on from it, to let go of it. And listen, some things are worth remembering and keeping as keepsakes, and some are not. So if they're not, delete them, rip them off. This doesn't mean that you're not going to remember it. Let's not be ridiculous. You're not going to not remember it, but just don't bring those snapshots into your life. See it? Oh yeah, I remember that snapshot. That's gone. You have to constantly remind yourself they're just little snapshots. They're not forever shots. And when you can see that, then you can start to distance from that kind of hopelessness and that feeling that, oh my God, this is what I'm always going to go through. And then you start catastrophizing and you start overgeneralizing. So I'd love for you to try that because it's one thing that really helped me, at least through a lot of my trauma. And I go back to that a lot. You know, I'll go back and like if I see things sort of lingering and kind of coming up, which happens with OCD, by the way. So if you see the obsessions start to come in, breathe. Accept it. Don't be judging it. Just be compassionate. And then look at it and take each little section and make it a snapshot and realize that you don't have to understand it. You don't have to control it. You don't have to bring it with you. It really is a great exercise. And it doesn't always have to be with the negative. Do some with the positive too. So this way you can see that you're not always like, oh, things are going good. Let me sabotage it because I don't think it's going to continue. Because then you're still carrying that as a movie. Take each moment in your life as a snapshot. And then it's easier to enjoy it and it's easier to move on from things that are actually painful.